Something is shifting in the unseen realm, a tremor in the energetic fabric that connects you to the one who occupies your thoughts in the quiet hours, the one whose absence has carved a hollow space in your chest that no distraction can fill. You feel it, do you not, this subtle vibration in your solar plexus, this quickening of your pulse when their name crosses your mind, this sense that the universe is holding its breath before a great exhale. What has been stuck is about to move. What has been silent is about to speak. What has been frozen in fear and pride and stubborn resistance is about to crack open like ice under the pressure of spring's inevitable arrival. The collective unconscious, that vast reservoir of shared human experience that Carl Jung described as the deepest layer of our psyche, is sending you signals through dreams that linger past morning, through songs that find you at precisely the moment you need to hear them, through numbers that repeat until you cannot ignore their insistence. This is not coincidence. This is synchronicity, the universe's way of confirming that you are not imagining this shift, that the ground beneath your connection is indeed trembling with the promise of movement. They are preparing something, even if they do not yet fully understand what they are preparing, even if their conscious mind still clings to the illusion of control, while their soul has already surrendered to what must be. Energy is building toward a breakthrough, accumulating like storm clouds on a summer afternoon, darkening the sky with potential, charging the air with electricity that makes your skin prickle and your heart race. You have been waiting in this liminal space between what was and what will be, and the waiting is nearly over. The walls are about to crumble. The dam is about to break. The carefully constructed fortress they built around their heart is developing fractures, and soon those fractures will become fissures, and those fissures will become a collapse. Write "I'm ready" in the comments if you can feel this shift building in your own energy field, if you sense that something magnificent and terrifying is about to unfold. Inside their mind right now, at this very moment as you receive these words, there is a war being waged between the ego that demands self-protection and the soul that knows only truth, between the wounded child who learned that vulnerability leads to pain, and the awakened heart that understands love requires the courage to be seen completely. They have reached their limit. The pretense of indifference has become a burden too heavy to carry. The performance of having moved on has exhausted every resource they possess. They lie awake in the darkest hours before dawn, your face appearing behind their closed eyelids, your voice echoing in the spaces between their thoughts, and they finally understand that running from this connection is like trying to outrun their own shadow. Pride is finally losing the battle to love, and the collapse is happening in stages, each one bringing them closer to the moment when they will have no choice but to act. First came the subtle admission that they think of you more than they should, more than makes sense for someone who claims to have moved forward. Then came the recognition that every person they encounter is measured against the standard you set and found wanting. Then came the realization that the life they are building without you feels hollow at its core, no matter how successful or stable or sensible it appears from the outside. And now, in this present moment, comes the final breaking point, the place where resistance crumbles into acceptance, where fear transforms into courage, where the question shifts from, "What if I lose my pride?" to "What if I lose them forever?" Carl Jung wrote that the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances, and if there is any reaction, both are transformed. They are beginning to understand that this transformation cannot be undone, that you have altered the very structure of their soul in ways that make returning to who they were before you an impossibility. The person they became in your presence haunts the person they are trying to be without you. Every defense mechanism they employ to keep you at a distance requires more energy than they possess. The internal breaking point has been reached, and what comes next is inevitable, unstoppable, already written in the stars that align the moment your paths first crossed. They are working up courage for something big, rehearsing words in their mind that they have never spoken aloud, imagining scenarios and your possible reactions, calculating risks and consequences, and deciding that the risk of losing you permanently outweighs every fear that has kept them silent. This is not a text message sent in a moment of weakness at 2 in the morning. This is not a casual like on your social media post designed to test waters without commitment. This is not breadcrumbs or games or the half-hearted gestures of someone who wants to keep you as an option while they explore other possibilities. What they are preparing is something real, something substantial, something that will require them to step completely out of the protective armor they have worn since the moment they first felt the terrifying power of what you awakened in them. An action that will require them to be completely vulnerable, to stand before you without the masks and defenses and carefully crafted images they present to the world, to let you see the raw truth of their need and their regret and their recognition that walking away from you was the greatest mistake of their journey. They are gathering their courage like a warrior preparing for battle, except the battle is with their own fear, their own pride, their own deeply ingrained patterns of self-protection that whisper lies about safety and control. They know that what they are about to do cannot be undone, cannot be taken back, will change the trajectory of their life regardless of how you respond. In the hidden chambers of their heart, they are composing the words that will convey what they have been too afraid to say. Words that will strip away every pretense and reveal the depth of feeling they have been denying even to themselves. They are imagining your face when you hear these words, hoping for softness but preparing for rejection, understanding that they have forfeited the right to expect anything from you but choosing to take this leap anyway, because not taking it has become more painful than any outcome could be. This is the kind of action that marks a before and after in a person's life, the kind of moment that decades from now they will remember as the night they finally chose love over fear, truth over comfort, you over the safety of emotional distance. The universe is conspiring to bring this moment into manifestation, arranging circumstances and dissolving obstacles and creating the perfect conditions for their surrender. You do not need to force anything. You do not need to reach out or chase or convince. What is meant to unfold will unfold in divine timing, and that timing is now accelerating toward its destined conclusion. Something happened recently that shifted everything, a catalyst moment that shattered the illusion they had been clinging to, the comfortable lie that they could live a full life without you in it. Perhaps they saw you laughing with someone new, or heard through mutual connections that you are finally releasing the pain they caused and stepping into your power, or simply woke one morning to the devastating clarity that you are moving on and the window of possibility is closing. They saw you moving on and it terrified them in a way that nothing else has, because as long as you were waiting, as long as you were holding space for their return, they could maintain the fantasy that you would always be there, that they could take all the time they needed to sort through their confusion, and you would be frozen in place, preserved in amber, ready to receive them whenever they finally felt ready. But you are not frozen. You are alive and growing and healing and becoming someone even more magnificent than the person they left behind, and this reality has crashed into their consciousness like a freight train, demolishing everything they thought they knew about the situation. The fear of losing you has finally grown larger than the fear of being vulnerable with you, and this shift in the internal balance of power has made the impossible suddenly necessary. They hit a breaking point where the pain of your absence exceeded their capacity to endure it, where every coping mechanism failed and every distraction lost its power, and they were left alone with the unbearable truth that they made a catastrophic error in judgment when they chose fear over love. Divine timing is not about waiting until we feel ready, because we will never feel ready for the things that matter most, the things that require us to risk everything we have carefully protected. Divine timing is about the moment when the soul's longing becomes so powerful that it overrides every logical reason to stay safe, every past wound that screams warnings, every voice of doubt that questions whether this leap will end in flight or freefall. That moment has arrived for them. The catalyst has done its work. The internal scales have tipped. What comes next is not a matter of if but when, and when is closer than you imagine. Jung understood that we cannot become whole without integrating the shadow, those parts of ourselves we have rejected and denied and projected onto others, those uncomfortable truths about our fears and wounds and destructive patterns that we would rather blame on external circumstances than acknowledge as originating within our own psyche. They had to face their demons before facing you, had to descend in to the underworld of their own unhealed trauma and sit with the parts of themselves they have spent a lifetime avoiding. This was not optional. You cannot meet love with an unhealed heart and expect anything but repetition of old patterns, reenactment of old wounds, the same story playing out with different characters until the lesson is finally learned. The transformation they have undergone in your absence was necessary, painful, unavoidable, if there was to be any hope of building something real and lasting between you. They had to confront the ways their past shaped their present, the ways their parents' relationship imprinted patterns of avoidance or control or emotional unavailability, the ways their first heartbreak taught them that opening fully leads to devastation. They had to see how they projected their own fears onto you, how they fled from the very intimacy they claimed to want, how they sabotaged the connection because some wounded part of them believed they did not deserve the love you offered so freely. This shadow work happens in the dark, in the private moments of brutal self-honesty that no one witnesses, in the nights when they are forced to admit that the problem was never you but the war they were waging within themselves. Carl Jung observed that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, and they are finally choosing that privilege over the false comfort of remaining hidden behind their defenses. They are excavating the truth of who they are beneath the armor, and what they are discovering is someone capable of the depth and presence and vulnerability that you always knew was possible for them. Subscribe to this channel now to continue receiving the guidance that will illuminate every stage of this profound journey, to understand the sacred unfolding happening in both your life and theirs, to recognize the signs that will confirm everything you are being told here. It might be a letter, pages of handwritten truth that they labored over for days, crossing out and rewriting and finally surrendering to the raw honesty that poured through them when they stopped trying to sound perfect and simply let their heart speak. It might be a call, their voice shaking as they say the words they have rehearsed 1,000 times, but which still come out imperfect and stammering, because this matters more than anything has ever mattered, and the terror of your response makes eloquence impossible. It might be them showing up in person, standing at your door or appearing in a place they know you frequent, their presence alone conveying what words cannot, the fact that they could not stay away another day, another hour, that the distance became unbearable and they had to take the risk of being seen in their need. Words they have never said before will come tumbling out, admissions of how wrong they were, how afraid they have been, how the time apart clarified everything they were too confused to see when they were standing in the middle of the connection. Vulnerability they have never shown to anyone, the kind that strips away every defense and leaves them completely exposed, trusting you with the tender underbelly of their soul that they usually protect with walls of steel and indifference. An apology that is not just words, but a recognition of the specific ways their actions hurt you. A taking of responsibility without excuses or justifications. An acknowledgement that they broke something precious and they understand if it cannot be repaired. A confession that will reveal the depth of what they have been carrying in silence, the nights they reached for their phone and forced themselves not to text you, the moments they saw something beautiful and wanted to share it with you, the realization that every good thing feels incomplete without you there to witness it. A plea not for you to make this easy for them, because they know they do not deserve easy, but for a chance to prove through actions and time and consistency that they have changed, that the person who hurt you is not the person standing before you now, that transformation is real and possible, and has already occurred in the hidden places where the soul does its deepest work. What this costs them cannot be measured in conventional terms, cannot be calculated by weighing pros and cons or making lists of potential outcomes. This is not a breadcrumb, not a tentative test to see if you're still available while they keep their other options open, not a moment of weakness they will regret and retract when their courage fails. This is the whole loaf, the entire heart, the complete surrender of the protective mechanisms that have kept them safe but alone, isolated but in control. They are risking their pride, that fragile thing that has been their primary defense against vulnerability, the ego structure that whispers they should never need anyone this much, should never admit to making a mistake this significant, should never give another person this much power over their emotional state. They are risking rejection, the possibility that you will look at them with eyes that have finally gone cold, that the love you offered so freely has been withdrawn permanently, that the door they walked away from has been locked and barred, and they will be left standing on the outside, having revealed their need only to have it met with indifference or worse, with pity. They know they might lose everything, that this moment of truth could result in the final closing of a chapter rather than its reopening, that you are under no obligation to receive their apology or give their love another chance. And they are doing it anyway, because not doing it has become impossible, because the regret of never trying has grown more terrifying than the pain of trying and failing. This risk reveals the transformation that has occurred within them, because the person who left you would never have had the courage for this level of exposure, would have chosen safety over truth every time, would have let pride win the battle against love. But something fundamental has shifted in their internal landscape. Fear still exists, whispers its warnings, shows them vivid images of all the ways this could go wrong, but it no longer has the power to determine their actions. Love has become louder than fear. Truth has become more important than comfort. You have become more valuable than their carefully maintained image of someone who does not need anyone. Carl Jung taught that the pendulum of the mind alternates between sense and nonsense, not between right and wrong, and they are choosing what makes no logical sense but what their soul knows to be the deepest truth available to them in this moment. They are terrified and they are brave. They are uncertain and they are committed. They are taking the leap and they are doing it for you. Real change speaks through consistent action, not just through words spoken in a moment of emotional intensity that evaporate when the feeling fades and comfort returns. You will know this is authentic transformation and not another manipulation by watching what they do in the weeks and months that follow this initial gesture of return, by observing whether their behavior aligns with their promises, by feeling into whether their energy has genuinely shifted or whether this is simply a more sophisticated version of the same pattern playing out again. The mirror effect that Jung described, where we see reflected back to us the parts of ourselves we have not yet integrated, will show you clearly whether they have done their inner work or whether they are still operating from the wounded ego that caused the separation in the first place. Authentic change carries a particular vibration that your body will recognize even if your mind tries to rationalize it away. When someone has truly transformed, there is a groundedness to their presence, a calmness where there used to be chaos, a willingness to be accountable where there used to be defensiveness. They do not rush you or pressure you or demand that you meet their timeline for reconciliation. They understand that trust is rebuilt through demonstrated reliability over time, not through grand gestures or passionate declarations. They show up consistently, not just when it is convenient or when they are feeling the pain of your absence, but steadily, patiently, proving through the mundane actions of daily life that they have become someone capable of meeting you in the depth you have always deserved. Watch for whether they have truly integrated their shadow or whether they are still projecting their unresolved material onto you, still blaming external circumstances for internal struggles, still expecting you to fix the emptiness that only they can heal. Real transformation means they have stopped running from themselves, stopped using relationships to avoid the uncomfortable work of becoming whole. When they speak of what they have learned, listen for specificity rather than vague generalizations, for genuine insight into their patterns rather than surface-level acknowledgement designed to say what you want to hear. Share this message with someone who is waiting for real and not games, who deserves a love that is grounded in truth and growth and mutual commitment to becoming the highest versions of yourselves together. You are not obligated to accept this gesture, no matter how sincere it appears, no matter how much they have changed, no matter how deeply you still love them beneath the layers of hurt and disappointment and self-protection you have built around your heart. You are allowed to say not yet, to ask for more time to heal, to require that they prove their transformation through sustained effort rather than taking them at their word. You are allowed to say not ever, to recognize that some bridges once burned cannot be rebuilt, that some relationships serve their purpose and then must be released. That loving someone does not mean you are required to give them another opportunity to hurt you. Both responses are valid, both are honored by the universe, both can be expressions of self-love depending on what your deepest truth requires in this moment. Only you can feel into whether reopening this door serves your highest good or whether it would be a betrayal of the growth you have achieved in their absence, the strength you have cultivated, the clarity you have gained about what you truly need and deserve from an intimate partnership. The empowerment you have accessed through this period of separation is yours to keep regardless of what you decide, and no choice you make can take that away from you unless you surrender your power by abandoning the boundaries and standards you have established. But also, you are allowed to forgive and try again, to let the walls around your heart soften if that is what feels true, to give love another chance if you genuinely believe this person has done the work and is ready to meet you differently. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting or pretending the hurt did not happen. It means releasing the grip that resentment has on your present moment, choosing not to let past pain determine your future possibilities, allowing yourself to remain open to the unexpected plot twists that make life rich and surprising and full of second chances that no one saw coming. Your power lies not in controlling their actions, but in choosing your response from a place of clarity and self-honor, in listening to the wisdom of your body and your intuition rather than the fears of your mind or the desperate longing of your heart. You get to decide. You have always gotten to decide. That power has never left you. This is not years away, not some distant possibility that you will have to wait decades to see manifest. This is close, so close you can feel it in the way your energy has been shifting, in the restlessness that keeps you awake at night, in the sense that something significant is about to break through the surface of ordinary reality into your lived experience. Watch for the signs in the coming days and weeks, the synchronicities that will confirm what you are being told here, the angel numbers that appear when you are thinking of them, the unexpected communication from someone in their circle, the dreams that feel more real than waking life. When you see the symbol that has personal meaning for this connection appearing repeatedly, when you hear the song that was playing during a significant moment between you coming through your speakers 3 times in a single day, when you feel a sudden shift in your solar plexus that makes you know without knowing how you know that they are thinking of you in this exact moment, understand that these are not coincidences, but confirmations from the collective unconscious that what must happen is already in motion. The universe speaks in whispers before it speaks in shouts, and if you are paying attention, you will recognize the whispers that are beginning to accumulate around you now. The unexpected is coming, the action that will change everything, the moment when their courage finally exceeds their fear, and they take the leap that has been building in the unseen realm throughout this entire period of separation. Are you ready to receive it, not with desperate clinging or with walls so high they cannot reach you, but with the groundedness of someone who knows their worth, who understands that they are whole with or without this person, who can hold space for possibility without attaching their peace to any particular outcome? The storm is about to break, the energy is about to move, what has been stuck is about to flow. And you, magnificent soul who has endured and grown and transformed through this painful initiation, you are ready for whatever comes next.